This is the new Porsche 718 Cayman T. The T stands for Touring, which in Porscheese means less power, more toys and an emphasis on driving experience. This, Porsche reckons, is purity.
To find out what it actually means, we've been given the keys, pointed towards some shiny roads and told to go and have fun. The 718 Boxster and Cayman have been with us for a while, and each of them get 4-cylinder turbocharged motors. The base car, the 718, gets a 2-litre motor with 300 horsepower. The S gets a 2.5-litre motor with 350 horsepower. And the GTS, the range topper, gets that 2.5-litre engine, but with 365 horses.
The T slots itself between the base car and the S. It keeps the entry-level car's 2-litre engine and pumps out the same 300 metric horsepower, 296 brake horsepower and 280 pound-foot. So what makes it special? Things make it special, namely things that you could previously only get on the higher grade S.
So what do you get? Well, you get a ride height lowered by 20mm, you get 20-inch alloy wheels, you get Sport Chrono, which means you can have Sport and Sport Plus and individual modes to play with to tailor the car to your every single whim. You get Porsche Torque Vectoring, you get a whole host of cosmetic tweaks. Your standard 6-speed stick shift gets auto rev matching, so you can be like a little bit of a hero. And you get black tips for your sports exhaust.
So it's the base car with more stuff on it to make it more engaging. So far, so good. Performance-wise, no matter whether you go for the Boxster or the Cayman, it'll crack 62 in 4.9 seconds with a manual and 4.7 with an optional PDK. You'll see the fun side of 170 miles an hour if you've enough space as well. The extra toys give you a minor 0 to 62 improvement, but top speeds stay the same.
You remember the old adage, less is more? Well, Porsche has taken that to mean remove the infotainment and sound system. It's great if you want the purest driving experience imaginable, but not so great if you've got no sense of direction and really like listening to music. Mercifully, you can spec it back in free of charge if you want to, as they have here. Also, you'll notice that the door pulls aren't the normal handles. They're bits of fabric like you get on racing cars and GT3 RSs and stuff like that. That's all to save weight. In fact, Porsche reckons that a Cayman T, with all the weight-saving bits done to it, weighs in at just 1,350 kilos. Svelte-ish.
The idea behind the 718T, as with the 911T, is to add something extra to the driving experience. Take the lowest power output and throw some extra driving pleasure in there. So why not give the punchy toys to the titchy motor?
Consider, if you will, dear viewer, some of the all-time great drivers' cars. The original Golf GTI, literally any Caterham, even the new Alpine A110, a truly stunning car to drive. They're all hilarious, but how have they managed that? Well, modest power and low weight, which is what Porsche is going for here.
With this in mind, is lowish weight, comparatively modest power and some extras on board a good thing for the 718?
Well, 300 horsepower isn't an enormous amount of power, but it's not a small amount of power either. In fact, you can get up a decent lick in this thing. This has a very small little 2-litre engine, and that 2-litre engine has to work quite hard to do its thing. Now, this has a turbo on it, of course, because everything is a 2-litre turbo these days. But I want to demonstrate something. This isn't about driving purity, this is just about being sensible. So imagine you're around town and you're doing 20 miles an hour, you're in 3rd gear, and you think, oh, the speed limit's changed from 20 to 30, so foot down time. 20, 20-something, 20 and change. Now we're at 30. It's not exactly quick, is it? And the turbo comes on song between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM, which does mean that if you're outside of that turbo range, it is a little bit sluggish, and that's not really ideal. You've got to keep it in a lower gear. Keep it on song, as we are now. We're in 2nd gear, and you can point it in a straight line and go. and you fly. However, flying in the Cayman T does come with a little bit of a caveat. The noise isn't great. And for a car that offers driving purity and experience, even with the sport button pressed, it just makes a noise that isn't very pleasant even louder. The gear shift, this 6-speed manual, it's got such a nice action to it. It's notchy, it's short throw, the clutch is nice and easy. It is fantastic. The steering is pure Porsche loveliness. It's so direct. As far as the brakes go, you could not want for more. They are so good, responsive, the pedal's easy to modulate, and when you really need them, oh boy, you certainly don't want for any extra bite to them. This thing is so good to drive. Find yourself a neat little switchback, properly play with it, you will have the time of your life. The Sport Chrono thing gives you extra driving modes to exploit the car, so you can make it noisier, you can make it a little bit sharper, you can turn on Sport Plus, make everything angry, including the springs and dampers and all that. What I will say about that is that if the road is even slightly rough, don't turn the springs on, because it's just uncomfortable. As a drive, I really can't fault it. It's exciting when you want it to be exciting, and when you want to turn everything off and just have a normal drive, you can. You can fit stuff in the front, you can fit stuff in the boot. It could be a genuinely practical car if you don't have children or do a big weekly shop or need to buy anything from IKEA ever apart from light bulbs. Everything is within easy reach. The infotainment system works, so if you do want one of these, spec that. It's great. There are lots of buttons, it hasn't gone touchscreen centric. That is beautiful. I love that because you can press one thing and know exactly where it is and what it does. And the look of the car, it's such a pretty bit of kit. It is stunning to look at. The T does come with a bit of a flaw. You see, this car costs about £5,000 more than a base 718, which means for all the toys you get a really good deal. But that also makes it around 700 quid cheaper than the S. And the S comes with more power. Now, admittedly, to spec an S to the same standard as you would a T, you do have to spend a lot of extra money. But for 700 quid, that extra power is awfully appealing.
This leads us to something of a heart-head moment. Do you go for the lower-powered, more focused car, or do you drop a few extra pennies on the more powerful one? How much experience do you value over having the right badge?
This car really isn't one for the badge snobs. This is for the people that seek out driving enjoyment. They don't care for the glory, they want to live in the moment. The kind of people that lament the fact that manual gearboxes are going away, but at the same time actually go out and buy them with their own money. The people that make stuff, that celebrate cars, the people that just go on a road trip just for the hell of it, those are the people that need to be applauded. The T, for me, is an absolute sublime driving machine. The steering, the gear shift, the brakes, when the motor's on song and you're just hooking up corner to corner to corner, it is an absolute joy. This is the car you buy if you really want a Porsche and you want to feel a Porsche drive. And if you live with the noise, good for you.